with CEOs and millionaires. I've never seen my vision be more crystal clear. Look in the mirror, see the change in who I used to be. I kept going, knew success would come eventually. But ask about me back then, they said I wouldn't make it. Nowadays they doubt less and tend to ask for favors. Poetic music, that's realness, don't let them tell you different. And if you ever lost in doubt, then follow your intuition. These words of wisdom is for those who's trying to find their purpose. Don't be living just to die, cause only death is certain. I'm working hard so I can toast to my accomplishments. Cause see, I lost it all and I ain't been the same since. I'm more focused, more ambitious, more everything. Grew up with nothing, now I appreciate the finer things. I know it's real when at the shows they ask for autographs. And now they know the name, they ain't gotta ask.
Well, no, I appreciate you, taking the time to do this. Obviously, this is basically highlighting the Negev in a sense of different people come here for different reasons. Obviously, the demographics have changed. I've been coming here for almost 10 years now. So, like, to see people my own age coming down here with families and things like that, I think it's always nice to see the change. And let's just start off by first, like, folks telling you about yourself, like who you are, and then why you initially came down to the Negev.
Wow. That might take the whole podcast time, but
we got time.
I'll try to keep it brief. Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Lian David. Right now I'm a member in Kibbutz Revivim.
So for people that don't know, because a lot of people aren't Jewish, like listening to the podcast, can you talk a little bit about what kibbutz
what
life
is? What is a kibbutz?
Yes. People heard of the word, but they probably don't know exactly what that means, especially in today's context.
Yeah, well, kibbutzim have changed a lot over the years, and right now Kibbutz Revivim is a shared community and has stayed with a few changes over the years. Every now and then we're adapting our way of life to the times. But overall, it stayed quite a shared community as like 50 or 60 years ago, where, my salary goes to the kibbutz. But I don't pay for my house, for my bills and stuff like that. The kibbutz take care of everything. I don't own a car, but I do get a car from the kibbutz or from the workplace that I'm at. So it's a very nice way of life where on one hand, you have this community that's very close to you, and a lifestyle which is quite free. And you feel very secure overall, because even if you're fired, if you lose your job, something happens, you and your family, you know that they're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a really sense of security. And the community life is much, much more important than work or career. But that depends on your character also.
Yeah.
For me, my work is like also my hobby, so it's very important to me. And on the kibbutz, we can choose. Right now, it's not like it used to be that when you become a member, then they tell you what to do or where to work. Now you can choose a lot. There are a lot of choices. You can work in the kibbutz, you can work outside. So it's very nice.
Yeah.
I was not a kibbutz member all my life. It's been now 9 years since I've came to the kibbutz. I used to live in, originally I'm from Petach Tikva. It's near Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm.
Probably no one knows about Petach Tikva. But Tel Aviv, I guess everybody knows. So it's near Tel Aviv. It's a city. So I'm a city boy. For a few years we even lived in New York. My mother worked at the Jewish agency. And we moved to New York for like 3 years under the Aliyah, for the Aliyah section, for the Sochnut. So, city boy all my life. But after the army, I started my own company in mobile content. and then it became a startup, and then it became like an advertising firm. So it's been a very hectic life for like, I don't know, like 10 or 14, it's almost 14 years of very, very intense, hectic life. Also in Tel Aviv. We lived also in Tel Aviv. And at one point we just said, okay, that has to stop.
Right.
And we needed a change.
Right.
We needed to get out of that. And that insight brought us to the Negev.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to say that we've been in Ramat Negev a lot. We didn't know it's Ramat Negev. We like to come once a year, me and my wife. We had this thing that we take like 4 or 5 days, and we go to the Negev, sit in some chusha. It's called the chusha.
Okay.
What's a chusha? It's like it's a nice guest house, not very fancy. Almost a tent.
Okay.
But you stay there. You feel like you're in the nature. You really detach yourself from everything, even without a cell phone.
Yeah.
And you just, we just think and write, and how is our life now, and what would we like to see ourselves in the future doing. And we would do that every year for like 7 years. And we did it in Ramat Negev. We were in almost every chusha in Ramat Negev. And driving here, we saw those communities and people living here, and we were like, what the hell? Who are those crazy people living here? How can you live in this remote place? It's a desert.
Right.
What do they do all day? It's crazy. But when we decided that we needed a change, and we said, okay, where can we go which is different, and we really feel it's a new way of life.
Yeah.
And we said Ramat Negev. It was like, it came to us, and we were even shocked from ourselves. But we came here and we decided to move here. And I have to tell you, it's the best decision that we've ever made.
What did you say, Jared? It was the second best decision you made? Third best decision.
I guess he needs to say that his wife is the first. Okay, so
well, the wife and
he needs to say it.
Aliyah was first.
I'm not. Aliyah comes before. I agree.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of my wife anymore.
No. Anymore. Jeez.
That's the difference between us.
Yeah. When you're afraid, you're not afraid.
That's right. Thanks. I've been married 14 years now.
Oh,
that's yeah. You have some time.
Yeah, we're just talking. There's, for people just listening, Jared White is the partnerships director for Ramat Negev Regional Council, and so he works in conjunction with diaspora Jews that are community partners for Ramat Negev specifically. So Colorado, Las Vegas. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to? Australia, yes.
Right.
So there's a lot of synergy out in the world, and we're sitting here in this beautiful high school that was built in large part to help from Jews from around the world that want to see the success of this area come to fruition. I'm literally, we're in this beautiful radio room here where teenagers are learning about podcasting and everything else, and I'm schlepping my equipment across the globe to make sure I had the right stuff, and they already had it here. So next time I definitely will not bring the things here the way I need to. But you see the names on the walls and the people that donated to help facilitate this and give people a hope and an understanding of where we are as a community and as people, as co-religionists around the world, and not just for Jews, but we see other problems that are happening here in the Negev, and I'm sure we'll talk about, but not everybody's Jewish in the Negev, and we have Bedouin, we have Arab communities, and everything all intertwined here. And so I think it's a more realistic view of the country, to be honest, from my own personal take. With that, so you moved to the Negev from the center. Did you already have kids when that happened? Or?
Yeah. This kind of crisis usually comes with kids. Mental crisis. I had my daughter Stav was already about 3 years old, over 3, almost 4 years old, and a son which was a year old.
Okay.
And this life in the city, the way I lived it, at least, the kids makes you notice that you're not home enough, and you don't have enough time for your family.
Yeah.
And with the kids, you realize what's more important. And they were a big part of our decision to come here. And we did look in other places, but when we came to Revivim is the kibbutz, as I said, in Ramat Negev. So after we were there for about 2 days, maybe 3 days, we drove back home, and my daughter said, I don't want to go home. I want to stay in the kibbutz. I want to go to my second home. She already decided that would be her home. So we would just, if she said so, we need to do it.
So what did your family and friends say to you when you said we're moving?
We were actually really, really scared from that. We had like this family meeting. I remember it on Friday, like dinner, and we were like waiting until everybody would eat and get to the dessert, and then okay, we need to tell you something, and we were sure that everybody would frown at this, and we're like, are you crazy? Kibbutz, Negev. But no, we said it, and everybody was really, really happy for us. And everybody said that, wow, you have balls. How did you get the guts to do it? But I think it's not about guts. It's just decision to do something for yourself.
Right. So you moved down here, and so did you still have your company at the time, or did you?
So at the time, I was a partner, yes, in a company that I set up with a few friends, and in the kibbutz, you need to say where you're gonna work, because you need to bring money to the kibbutz. You cannot be a member if you don't have a paycheck.
Right.
So we've decided, me and my friends, that I would keep getting paid from my own company, and in the kibbutz I started my own design studio for apps, mobile apps, and it took us like a year, but we had a great design studio in the kibbutz with 5 or 6 workers. It was really pretty great, pretty fast. No one believed it. That it's possible, because you think, wow, you're in the Negev, you're so far, but it's an hour and a half drive from Tel Aviv. It's not such a big deal. I had a good customer base that still, knew me and liked me. Yeah. So we did great job, I think. And then we opened a thing called the hatchery, which was pretty cool. It's called the Madgera in Hebrew.
Yeah.
But it was a startup hatchery. Inside the kibbutz, we renovated 6 small little houses, and we said we'll let startups live here in the kibbutz, and be in peace of mind for 4 or 5 months. We'll pay for everything. They just need to come here and work on their startup. And we did that. We did that for almost more than 2 years. We had great startups, great people came into the kibbutz. We started investing in startups. I'm telling fast things that happened over 3 years that were very dramatic, because in the kibbutz to have, young people and startups, and to get into this whole innovation ecosystem, high-tech innovation ecosystem in the Negev, we were the only ones. There was never an accelerator in a kibbutz. There was never an accelerator in the Negev. So we were the first. And it was pretty cool. We did it, and we started investing. And we started with like $10,000 investment, small investments, then went up to 30,000, then 100. And today I'm happy to say that almost every year the kibbutz invests in at least one startup. We have a startup that already was with an IPO for over 400 million that we invested in. We have quite a large percentage there. And we keep investing almost every year at least $1 million in startups, which is nice for kibbutz in the Negev. And keep searching for investments. And from there, once this, I got a ball rolling, things were, but all in all, doing fine. I wanted to increase my impact.
Yeah.
And get out from the kibbutz, which is, you have to understand that living in a kibbutz, it's like living in a bubble. With a few hundred people, but still it's your own little bubble,
right?
And I really want to make an impact on the whole Negev. So now I work at the regional council. I stopped with working at the Madgara and founded. They let me found the Business and Innovation Center for whole the regional council, which is what I do now. And it's really exciting. I've been doing it for 2.5 years, and there's so much to be done here, but things are all the time, so many things are going on. You'll tell me what's more interesting for you, but right now I have a great job. This is what all I can say.
So I met Gilly Elkin, who says she knows you.
Gilly, we've talked a few days ago.
Yeah, that's
from
what she
ICI.
said. Yep. So, there's a small world in Israel. Hey, Gilly.
Hi, Gilly.
Yeah, it's
Where's my camera?
Small VC fund, and they're going to their second fund here shortly. It's going to be upwards of $40 to $50 million this time around. And if you're really interested in tech and how a VC works and everything else, please hit me up. I'll definitely provide you her contact information. She loves talking to new people and getting people involved in helping Israel and promoting some of the companies that are coming out of here every day. When we talked for hours, actually, we had a lunch, and we were just talking about life, about different things, and she's really, I'm in finance, she's in finance, obviously, and so we're talking about the good old boys club in some of these institutions, like in private equity and growth equity and investment banking and things like that, and how she's really pushing forward to try to find some opportunities for women and for minorities in a lot of ways here in Israel, but then also being able to articulate that in the fund as part of their core mission and their portfolio thesis. So really interesting stuff. Again, little shout out to Gilly for doing what she does, and learn more about ICI. I'll leave a link in the YouTube channel and online as well, so you can check it out. But it's a small world here, and I'm really, I want to pick Leon's brain about the best way to go about things, because we talked to maybe about a week ago, and we kind of had the same ideas in a sense of, well, first of all, let me go back one step. With your new job and what you're doing, what can you describe the spirit of the person that wants to live in Ramat Negev, and the aspect of the kind of solopreneur aspect of being in the Negev? It seems like people, from my own experience, like what matters to them isn't to become this kind of rich kind of city person with a big house and this and that, but they want to have enough to provide for their family and live a quality of life that they think is better than even in the city, right? They may not have all the infrastructure in the same way, but like you said, the community aspect is probably the most important.
Right, definitely.
And so with that, the spirit of that solo entrepreneur that you see all around the Negev, can you with your new job, can you talk about some examples on people like that and how you in your position can help them further along and reach a better quality of life without trying to in some way sell out and become a true business where everything's about margins and this and that?
You're very right, and it's very interesting, and you definitely hit an important point that even for me, it took some time to bridge that, because, you know, as I said before, I come from the world of big firms and startups, and we deal with growth. So, and let's say that when I thought of going to the kibbutz and opening my own studio, I was not thinking my own studio as just me, or me with another one person. For me, a small studio was me and 6 workers. I didn't even think about it just me. And immediately I aimed for at least 6. And I would go on for like 10, 15, maybe if there wasn't in the middle the hatchery, and then we started that and that also. And when I became the business center manager, so started talking to business owners, and I was like, why aren't you, you know, preparing yourself for growth? Like, I talked to everybody, and I used to go for at least 20 businesses a week, you know, just to sit and talk to them and get to know them. And everybody is super individualistic. As you said, the solo entrepreneurs. How did you say it? Solopreneur. So for me, it was, you know, really weird. Why don't you want more? Why don't you want more money? Like, even your business plan, it's not aim for growth. It's just, you know, it's solid, but that's it.
Yeah.
And it was weird. And then it hit me that they live and think differently. They didn't move here to make a big, you know, to make a big business.
Right.
And they're not looking to work with salaries that are like Facebook or Google wise. And they want the work-life balance. It's very important for them. It's important to them not to work on a Saturday, not to work on a weekend at all. It's very important for them to be with their kids large amount of the time. And their business and their family life are very intertwined. So you have to pay attention to that when you come and you try to give advice for a business. And it's not adapted to his way of life or his thinking, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So that's something that I realized, and it's hard work. It's hard to keep a business running and going with a very low margin of profit.
Yeah.
And you have to do it. Like, this is what they want. And we plan it this way. And now that we have business advisors, we really we talk to them for at least a few meetings before they go out to the other businesses, and we see how we can manage expectations and how we adapt the business counsel that they offer. Because if they come from Beersheba or Netanya or Tel Aviv, they don't understand what we need here, and they make mistakes. They make mistakes with our businesses. So it's something that we work a lot on. And you know, beside that, then you have the whole high-tech and innovation that people want to go in. And there we need to make some educational work.
Right.
Because that's the other side of the innovation center. One side, as I said before, is working with businesses, small businesses, medium businesses, mainly small. Most of the businesses here are small. Small in the, like, one worker. That's it.
Yeah. What's the average, like, small business size as far as, like, revenue goes here? What do you think?
So we don't, we try not to go in their pocket, as we say.
For sure.
We don't ask them exactly how much they make, but it's It's low. It's under $500,000 a year.
Okay.
With low
Return.
Low return, yeah.
Got it. And do you think when you talk about the spirit of these guys, for example, I just know like, you know, the cheese farm over here, like going to Mitzpeh.
Yeah.
And how
corn mill.
Yeah. And just how, like you said, like they never wanted to work like they were working in a restaurant in Tel Aviv. And like during Corona was an opportunity for them to expand their business because so much tourism was coming down here because people couldn't leave the country.
Yeah, and also people were willing to order their cheese to, you know, everywhere in Israel. They got orders from Tel Aviv, they got orders from Haifa.
Yeah.
And they had enough work. You could drive from morning till night and sell.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fit the way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that. We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. So they are here. They are like also a medium business because they're not small. They do have I guess a few millions a year, also with very low margins of profit. But they are able to sell a lot, and they prefer not to.
Right. What do you think that is a cultural thing here? Is that what keeps people in the Negev because they want that work-life balance? You think?
Yeah, I think that's why we're all here. We don't. If we wanted to live like in the city, you know, we would have. There's nothing that stops us now, like before. Okay, it's not the lack of money or the lack of, you know, talents. We have great people here, and you know, if we would decide a community to make a dramatic change, I believe that we would do it easily. But that's not why we're here. It's a part of the way of life that, you know, for me it's more healthy. And I think everybody wants to keep that. You want to be with your family. You want a high standard of life. What's more important for you is education, and maybe also, you know, make your dreams come true. I can tell you that what we call here between us the Business and Innovation Center, which is a vague, you know, name. For the residents of the area, we decided to call it the home for businesses and the place to, how do you say it in English? Lagshim Chalomot. Make
dreams come true.
A place to make your dream come true.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. When people come here, because we understand that you don't want to open a business here to make a lot of money.
Right.
You know, you want to fulfill some kind of dream. You want to prove something for yourself. You want to do, it's much more than money. And that's why it's so important for them to succeed. Yeah. It's very important for us to help them, because then they really love living here. It's more important than money.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so like with that, what you're building here, when you think about the opportunities that are slowly starting to grow, like for your family, for other people's kids, you know, I see we're sitting in this amazing high school here with drones and everything else. Let me hold that thought real quick because the camera needs another battery, but we'll get back to it here. One second.
Where were we? I don't even remember what we.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties with one of the cameras, and so we're now back at it. So we were talking about the solopreneur mindset here in Ramat Negev and how your position has offered you to go around and to be able to talk to people and talk about their business, maybe give them some tips here and there on how to maybe make their process of their business more efficient, to be able to give them a little bit of guidance to maximize the potential of what they have going on right now, basically.
Yeah.
With that, what are some of the hardships that you have faced or the challenges you faced in talking with people in that way? Because they probably are very defensive in their mindset, but then they're also their education and the level that they want to change, because it's been working for them so far. They don't really want to do much difference, right?
So it's much harder to help someone that doesn't want to get any help. So we didn't start with that. We started with people that actually came to us and said, we want to make a difference, we want to make a change, we want to make a better business because we feel that things are not going, exactly right for us. And this was a strategic, conscious decision that we made as we founded the business center. We were like, should we start with encouraging setting up new businesses, or looking at what there are, the businesses that are there, and maybe a bit struggling or doing okay but can do better? And we've decided, okay, let's do that. And first of all, it was really hard to convince them that we come in peace. You can trust us.
Yeah.
We are not the government, we're not the tax, income tax, and we're not the license. There's also a unit that is the business license unit that everybody fears it, because it can, it can tell you that you need to do all kind of changes that will cost you money in your business, or you need to get a license to do this and that. So they are like the bad cop.
That's why there's no food truck in Nitzan anymore, by the way.
Yeah. There are those that make it a bit difficult for businesses to exist. Not just here, everywhere in Israel.
Sure.
And I guess they are equivalent to that all over the world. But here in Israel, it's really the trust issue, at least for me, was a big thing. And I feel that really until now, I still, when people ask me what most of the time goes to, what do I do? Like, what does the business center is really working hard at, is building trust. Having business owners call you when they have a problem, or when they want to start something, first of all, call you. Because I'm the council, I'm the regional council. Sometimes for them, I was the bad cop. And I'm happy to say that now, everybody calls us. Everybody comes to the business home to ask for advice, to request help. And we've gotten through this phase of this trust, which is very hard to keep and maintain.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as we have that, so even more than half of our work is done.
Right.
Because after that, it's really easy to get them to listen and open up to other kinds of business models, or finance aid, and to accept business counselors that come from different and verticals that they are not very familiar with.
Yeah.
So once we have their trust, it's much, much easier.
Right. And what's been more, I know it's like two kids, right? Like, you probably don't want to tell me which one you love more, but what's been more rewarding? Starting a company from scratch and building it slowly in a long time with a bunch of people that you really, really care about, and they're like family, or doing the work you're doing now and giving the business advice to so many people in that way?
So I'm going to surprise you. It's exactly the same. Like,
okay.
if someone asks me now, what do I as Leon, what do I specialize at? What do I love doing? I love founding stuff. And the regional council around the Ron, which you, I understand you interviewed today. So when it took me to found this business center, it was, okay, I'm not opening another department in the regional council and you come to work for me. It was not like that. It was like, you're gonna found this place and you do whatever needs to be done. You run it like a business, like it's your own. And this gave me, I think, it gave me a lot of confidence and the strength to do it. And, I really enjoy doing it. Because for me, it's like, founding a business. We have a budget, we have goals, we've set, every a yearly goal and business customer, everything. We run it like a business.
Yeah.
And we have a great team. And I care about the people that we are in, and also the people in the regional council, even Jared.
I'm sorry you have to care about him, but it's it takes a village, as they say in English.
I think
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about your tutoring story the other day.
Yeah, it's hard with Jared, but no, he's a very likable guy, so it's hard not to like Jared. But I feel like I've done something that it's like my own. Also, it's my child.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a part of the regional council doesn't make any difference, at least for me.
Right.
And along the way, I've tried to put a lot of myself in it. So, as I told you before, it started as just a business hub, but then it became a business center, and now it becomes an innovation center. And the innovation center is not something that was planned by the regional council. It's just something that I love doing. I love to be a part of this ecosystem, of high-tech ecosystem. I thought it was very important for us to be a part of it as a regional council and as communities, to have people with that kind of knowledge and that can set up really new things here. So we've decided to take it upon ourselves the responsibility to be the innovation center. And I'm happy to say that Eran and the whole management here in Ramat Negev, they were like, go for it. And then they asked, what do you need? And they gave us even a budget for it. So it's nice. It's more than nice.
I asked Eran about this earlier, but the vision of the Negev, and now theoretically you're a part of the plan. So
yeah.
what is your vision on your piece of the pie, as they say, in the future? What's the plan in 5-10 years, maybe even like when your kids are adults?
So until my kids become adults, I know that when they become adults and, reach the time to go to the army, and then after that they would want to go and, explore the world, go to the, maybe to New York or to India or whatever. They might want to live in a big city, find their love, their soulmates or whatever. So I know that first of all, we need to take care of the years that they are here. And the years that they are here, they need to be meaningful. And people like me that come with their kids, we're thinking about that. And we're thinking about once they come back with their family and want to live here again, where would they come back to? Would they come back just to be, to open a guest house or to be a carpenter? Or would they be able to also be a graphic design or a UX designer or I don't know, maybe sales or CEO of a tech company? And I see that happening. I definitely see that happening, and I'm working on both those channels. Once as a business manager, we've started working with all the business managers from all around the Negev, from all the regional councils, to really make the businesses all around the Negev much stronger, and to get more support from the government for them, and increase our economic strength and our way of life, still keeping our way of life. Beside that, I'm working very hard to get us into the innovation system, the innovation ecosystem, the high-tech innovation system. And that's a different game. That's a game of, money. investments, venture capital, it's sales, it's working with opening markets abroad. So it's a really, really different world. Robotics, AI, everything. You need to have this infrastructure for that. You need to have the right people for that. You need to attract money. And we're working on that also.
Do you think there'll come a time when Ramat Negev Regional Council would have their own fund of some kind and co-invest in that ecosystem, but then also be able to fund? Jared and I were talking about this earlier, but basically enhance the solopreneur to raise their efficiency in their processes and in their business specifically, to have slightly better margins than maybe what they have now, to where they are doing better off, but in return it also creates incentives for the region to have a better tax base, to be able to handle more problems more effectively and things like that, to be slowly more autonomous away from Jerusalem in the way that you don't need to worry about if there's no budget or not, because you got it by yourself through the innovation of investing properly, thinking of the waves of the future in that way. Do you think this is the plan for not only Ramat Negev, but like the periphery in Israel in general? Is this the way to succeed?
It's definitely... You think that it's hard?
Yeah, for sure. You heard on this.
I haven't cracked that yet. This is a really, really big problem, and it's really, really difficult. And I'll tell you why. Being a part of the investment and the venture capital ecosystem is much tougher here in the periphery than in the city.
True.
And the way the regional council can gain from from this whole field is very different from what a city can gain. You have to talk about, and you have to understand the rural area, countryside, and city. So VCs and investments is one thing, and we might need one or two some kind of form of VC here, and we were working on that. We might already have that. We'll know in 2 or 3 months. With a big fund that spans all over Israel, because it can't be only here. As you know, startups need to be in the center of Israel, where the ecosystem, with the lawyers and the sales and the most of the money is. But the R&D centers can be here. A lot of things can be here. So we need to focus on our strength. So let's say on startups, if it's startups that the area can give value to the startup, then, and we'll crack that, then we have something to play on. And that's why I like the agricultural innovation scene, where we can contribute a lot. And the industry 4.0, most industry is not in the city, is outside the city.
Right.
So in robotics and AI in industry, we can contribute a lot. In solar and energy, this is where our strengths are. And we need to see how to use them. And it's been done in other regional councils, but not necessarily in a really successful way. And I'll tell you why. Because the things that been done there, which were mostly VCs, creating like a small kind of a VC that uses the infrastructure of this area, let's say in Eilat, near Eilat, where it's mainly desert and a lot of sun. They created this energy VC thing. But at the end of the day, most of the money was controlled by the Tel Aviv firms. And most of the money, again, went to the investors. And the residents of the area did not profit from that.
Right.
And the regional council did not profit from that. So you have to restructure it differently. This is what we're doing here now. Second, people are not aware of the other aspects that you can use in all this in this field. Just for example, commercialization. You can have a farmer that invents some kind of device for himself because he needs it to take out some kind of root.
Yeah.
And he invented it for himself. He's not aware that he can write it, that he can has an IP on it, that he can patent it. He doesn't know how to, after that, commercialize it, sell it, whatever. They don't know how to do it. They don't even think about it. So now when we go around all these farms and we see this stuff, amazing stuff that they've done, we're amazed. And if they would have someone to help them, with this, they can start with that. They can make a lot of money out of that.
Right.
So a bit more of education about patenting, IP, commercializations, export. Now, the best thing that Israel would wish is to have more export. When you export, you get money in, right? And a lot of people that make great stuff here are not aware of the possibility and how to open a market out in the world and to start exporting. And this is something that we can do easily.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of innovation in that. And people, they're just unaware of that.
And then with the recent Abraham Accords in the UAE, are you working on establishing some kind of connection with Ramat Negev and these places that have very similar climates and same challenges with hydrology, with ecology, with everything going on in farming and agriculture in the same way?
Yeah, definitely. We first of all, the nice thing here is that basically the most important insight that you need to understand is that even in high tech, in all this money, and we're talking all these big words, at the end of the day, you need to connect on a problem. Okay, you need to find this really big problem that you want to solve, that you need to solve, and that connects you. So let's say in our region, Ramat Negev, we are in a desert area. And for us, by the way, it's desert, but it's not exactly desert. It's on the verge of a desert. So all the places in the world that are now going through this thing called desertification, which is not becoming the Sahara Desert, but it's getting this climate change that makes you more dry, arid area, less rain, the land is getting degraded. This is something that we live like this. For us, it's normal. For tens of years, 60, 70, 80 years here, this is our life. So when people come here from other places and they say, wow, we suddenly have this problem. And you know how to work with that. You know how to grow pineapple in this kind of land. Can you share it with us? And we're like, yeah, but under business terms. So this is something that they are not used to. They're used to come and just, how do you do it? And get the information and that's it. And the R&D center in Ramat Negev, we have a great agriculture R&D center. It was just, giving it away. Someone comes, how do you do that? And it was like, you do this and you do that, and they send him the protocol and you just publish it. So what we do now is we say, yes, we are here, we want to solve these big world problems. And I was in Dubai and in other places of the world, and people came to me and was like, no problem, just sign this LOI and we'll start working. And they were like, what? We've never signed an MOU or LOI with you before. This is how it is now. I'm sorry, guys. We are now starting to teach everybody. We're starting to formalize relationship. Everything has to be done with a business orientation.
Is that tough? Like, obviously you were raised in this environment coming from the center, It's like handshakes and trust, you know, in that way. How do you get people to move away from that and formalize in that way and tell them the benefits of that?
I was amazed how tough that is. It was really, for me, you know, I went and I visited all these great places that we have here with brilliant minds. And I saw what they've done. And I was like, what? You just gave it away? You just told them that they can have it and you just published it and that's it? And how much money did you make of it? And we're like, no. So I was shocked. I was shocked. And this is something that it's hard because in an organization, it's really restructuring the organization. You need to teach the people within the organization how to work when you start a project from the beginning, not to just start working on it and then go from this to that, but from the beginning, stop, give it to legal, give it to the commercialization department, make a plan, sign an LOI, you take a lawyer, get these things done, and then run all the whatever you need.
It reminds me actually of Startup World, like in the same way, right? Like where you have your initial team of people and you're trying to get a product to market to show some kind of revenue and some viability and whatever, and they just want to keep going.
They want to go.
And you're just like, listen, you have to do these things to protect yourselves down the line, and you need to stop for a second while we're giving you money because we believe in you.
Right.
But the lawyers and the other people, the adult stuff has to happen now. It's not the idea anymore, you know. And so I can totally relate to the people because I grew up in small town environment in Europe like that, you know, where handshakes meant everything. The people knew that they could trust you. If you're going to show up on time, you're going to do this or whatever. You have things that happen in like the villages, you know, and stuff. And so they need help harvesting. And so neighbors would bring their tractors and things like that. So I understand the mentality here very, very well.
It's that, and it's also in the organization there's that, and in the solopreneurs, as you call them, there's this other thing that they're thinking only about themselves and what they need at that moment. So in the organization, if you want a little trick that for me works, before you said, you know, it's tips and tricks stuff. Mm-hmm. So as fast as you can, get the CTO out of the meetings. You know, all the scientists and the engineers and stuff like that. First of all, they like to be in the meetings and all the when you start stuff and with the customers, they like to be in the meetings. Yeah. First of all, get them out of the meetings. You know, bring them over to give their opinion and have them meet everybody. But as fast as you can, get them out, and then talk business. And until the business terms and everything, and you understand the models and whatever, they should not interfere. And then, you know, call them back.
Yeah, no, I get it.
A few days later, sometimes a few weeks later.
No, I get it. It's, you know, dealing in finance and dealing with all the execs in these small firms, you know, and CTOs, the CEOs, COOs, the other C-suite folks, they know that in general terms, the macro plans and things like that, but that CTO will talk above your head and below it, you know, all at the same time, and anybody else involved is like...
And it's hard to stop them because they really enjoy it. Yes. You know, you can have them talking and they would talk and they're having fun. But in the meantime, they spit out everything. Yeah. And you have nothing, no leverage left. Yeah. Or no time left. And with the solopreneurs, they just think about themselves in the way that, you know, they have this problem and they think they have this problem. That's it. It's only them. Mm-hmm. And they solved it and it's okay. It's now solved. And the fact that it can be commercialized for others, they don't care about it.
Right.
They don't think even about it. And when I came to someone, there's a farmer here, invented some kind of a machine that cost him over $1 million shekels. That's like more than $300,000
Yeah.
to make, and months of work. He 3D printed most of the parts there. It's really amazing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I saw it when I was there, and I was like, why don't we commercialize it? I think they're like, he grows fish, small fish for aquariums.
Mm-hmm.
There are like 1 million farms like that in China. Why don't we try and sell this machine over there? Even if it would be only, $100 for one, you could make a pile of money. I was like, no, I just need it for myself. I saved some money with that. It helps me now. I don't want to start lawyers and stuff and commercializing, and I don't feel like doing it.
Well, what do you think about like creating partnerships with the regional council? So like if you spot and assess an idea like that, to be able to say like, I don't need it, but then you can say, well, like, you know what, like if I take your idea and find some other people and we do something with it and we just give you a piece of the equity as a founder of some kind, we'll handle it. You just tell us how to do it, and then we'll bring it to market.
So this is the concept exactly that I'm playing with right now. I've also seen that every academy has this body
Mm-hmm.
that commercializes things that are invented within the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Gurion University has BGN. Everyone has it, but regional councils, where many things are invented, they don't have this commercialization body.
Mm-hmm.
that knows how to register IP and knows how to commercialize. So now what I'm saying is we should be one.
Yeah.
We just say we will be your commercialization body, and whoever invents anything, just come to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I went around, I made a pilot, an A/B test for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went around only with farmers. I decided only in agriculture, so it won't be too overwhelming.
Yeah.
I went to a few farmers, and I was like, if you have things that you've invented, call me, show me, and let me see what I can help. I can show you my phone. I got a list of stuff. I got invited to so many places.
Yeah.
To come and see. And I believe that I might from everything maybe find two. But that
still,
would be great.
Yeah.
And then they ask for all kinds of robots, and they ask for all kinds of information about AI and all kinds of stuff. So I connect them to other startups that I know that have created those, but I know it, they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm part of the ecosystem, so I'm becoming this kind of bridge of knowledge and maybe even cooperation between them. So just from this small test, I have a great feeling that there might be something here.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a work in progress. So
Sure.
I'm not saying that I cracked it, but I think it's something that might work better than just thinking about opening another VC, creating another investment, thing.
But in theory, like you could essentially create your own portfolio of startups from ideas that have happened here, IP sharing between the region, the municipality, and the individual. Even if he doesn't want to deal with anything,
Right.
you say, hey, I've got your idea. I'll get smart people enough to put the team together to figure this out and see how we can build this out and put it into other bigger markets and things like that to export the idea. Because if you're having the problem, then obviously others probably
right.
have the same problem, and then go from there, where you've now created your own, in a way, like a municipality endowment fund of some kind, in the same way like a sovereign wealth fund for the UAE is, or something else, right? But for this region. And so you have something where if there's a need and a want for something else to be built, You don't have to worry about Jerusalem. You just go do it, as long as the authorities eventually are given to the mayor to be autonomous, right? Like he's constantly having to deal with the army here, like dealing with the training and stuff like that and whatever else. But like, imagine one of these ideas pops and then you're like, oh, wow, we get to build now 100 houses in the Nitzana area because we had an exit on one of these ideas. Like that
would be nice.
It's amazing.
I think we all share this dream, and we need to work hard for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The way exactly how to happen, we need to be ready for it. We need to create the infrastructure for it. The distance between theory and reality sometimes gets blurry, and you need to try do it. You can't theorize about it. You need to actually do it. But in order to do it, you have to, you need money, and you have to plan, and you have to see how thing goes. And I know, because we founded stuff and we are in this ecosystem, that a lot of unexpected things just
how many times in your old job with your business did you pivot?
Oh, so many times. I don't know if it was clear enough. My whole life is pivoting.
That's Israel. Israel's a pivot.
Yeah. I started, as an art student, as art and education. And then I have this mobile content studio that became this startup. And then it became a social media advertising firm, and then it became a mobile advertising firm. So we pivoted all the time. We had investors, and then we had the 2008 crash.
Yeah.
So we've lost them, and we needed to pivot. Sometimes we needed to pivot because the product wasn't good, and along the way we invented something that we didn't even think about it, but it worked. So we pivoted to that. So my whole life is pivoting, and I think it's good. I can't prepare for that. So we're starting something, and I know that we need to keep our channels open.
Yeah,
and see how it works. And I know also that what are we capable of? Let's say if someone wants to do something, but then you need to create a team for it and sales and everything, and start a startup for him to do that. That might not work.
Right.
So you need to say, where is the place that even if you lose, you'll commercialize it before, you'll sell it before, and you let other people do it, but you'll still get enough to continue profiting from that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's enough.
Right.
Maybe if you'll have, instead of 2 big successes, try and get 20.
You're good.
You get 20 smaller ones, but still.
So do you think the concept, what you're talking about right now, do you think it's easier to bootstrap this, just keep revenue coming and stay small and then slowly grow it? Or where does...
Jared, הקראקינג האלה, they think I do it.
Yeah.
They don't see you here. Do they see them?
Yeah, they see it a little bit.
They think I do like that, and it goes crack.
But do you think your concept would be better with... I was going to ask you, what does Jewish and Zionist diaspora play a role in what you're talking about? Or is it a self thing specifically for Ramat Negev? Do you bootstrap it, or do you go look for funding with people that you already have built relationships with through philanthropy and create some kind of for-profit arm for the same thing?
We're trying to do both.
Okay.
But it's not, you can't know exactly what would work more. And even when I talk with a startup and I ask, where do I get the money? So, try everything. You need to try everything until you get it.
Yeah.
And right now, we wanted to create this fund. We want to create this big fund.
What's a big fund to you?
big fund here in Israel is you have mini funds which are 50 million shekels. A big fund is a fund of over $50 million.
Okay.
We wanted to create over $50 million fund. We wanted to create a 200 million shekels fund, which is about an $80 million fund.
Right.
There are the Israeli government invented a thing called an incubator.
Yep.
And in incubators, which is money that investment money for investment that is leveraged by the government at quite a big percent, like 70, even 80%. Usually in the countryside, in the periphery, we have small incubators, which are mini funds. They're allowed to invest about 20 million shekels. And with maybe go to 40 with follow-on investments. So it's really, really small. It's an investment firm with a really low glass roof.
Yeah. And this is
glass ceiling.
Where in the investment cycle would that be? Like seed round in generally?
Pre-seed.
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 Got it.
That's for really pre-seed. You don't have enough even for seed. You can participate in seed, and then after that, you're pretty much out. The partners might enjoy the follow investment, and that's what happened in other rural places where the incubators, the small incubators, at the end of the day, when companies got to the round A, B, where it's really the profit, so it was not in the regional council anymore. It was not there
got
anymore.
So diluted.
Yeah, they got so diluted. They've
wasn't much left.
Yeah, they got like maybe less than 1%.
Wow.
So we didn't want to have any. We didn't want that, but when the opportunity came to create a bigger fund, a 200 million shekel fund, we said, okay, we're going for it, and we did it. We raised 180 million shekels with leverage money by the government. It's a $250 million shekels fund, and we are now waiting for it to be approved by the government because it needs to be an incubator. So if we have that, one hand of this thing, this field, this plan is set to go, but it would not work alone by itself.
Yeah,
we are sure that if we only have that, and we won't be very much involved along the way, then it might slip away from us, and we will lose opportunities. Now we need to build on creating a structure, an infrastructure for opportunities, reaching this VC firm, going down the line into the regional council, into the research facilities and the industry. And we need to work on that. We need to know how to do that. We need to educate the people and the organization within the regional council how to deal with this deal flow. We need to be there in the center to manage the deal flow. We need someone to take care of commercialization in case something comes out of anything there.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't get an investment from the fund, it will still be, the opportunity would not slip away, but we'll still get something out of it. So it's a lot of things that need to be done.
And how many are on your team in your section?
It's me basically with no
Superman.
No, we have a great team. We have the R&D center, the agriculture R&D center has Itzik Tzur as the BizDev, which became a great partner. We have all our partners that came and united with our group, which are really veterans of the fields. We have Arieli Capital that also have they know how to they've created accelerators, and they make business innovation centers in various places in Israel. We have great partners, and we have a good team. We need to thicken it up. We're working on it.
with the Abraham Accords, have there been talks and discussions about creating LPs with people from the UAE and other places like that would want to invest in Israel in the technology?
So the interesting thing is that it turns out that they do not have so much money as we think, as people think. And they are looking for investors from outside. They look at us also as investors. So if we want to work over there and, start working in their ecosystem, we also have to come with an investor or investors. So we're looking at that. We have already 2 deals that are signed as an MOU, but are still need to be we need to structure them. We need to find all the missing pieces. It's not so easy. The business opportunities in the Gulf are huge, but it's a very tough market. It's a very tough market politically. It's a very tough market. You need to understand the finance and the regime is very much connected, and you need to know who you're talking with and how, and respect and everything, and gain the trust. So it's not something that you just go and do. You have to build it slowly over years.
A lot of drinking chai. A lot of chai.
A lot of drinking chai and go and back and forth and visiting and a lot of talks. We do have partners now in Israel that already have innovation centers there. And we said, let's start small. We'll go over there, we'll work with them, alongside them. We'll see what are exactly other opportunities, and then we'll do it.
Do you think there's some opportunity within the region as well in connecting Arabs here
Definitely.
In Israel proper, but then also in Ramallah and other places to be able to get over there, show them the diversity, first of all, in the culture and the demographics here. Like, obviously, news paints a very different picture, like what happens on the ground here, but they get to see, like, we have a lot of variety here. We have Arabic speakers, we have, some people even, that are Israeli, that are Jewish, that have Arab backgrounds, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of, like you said, like a lot of opportunity I see coming from this, as long as you have willing partners on both sides. Do you think Israel is more reserved in this aspect about the opportunity, or do you think the Arabs from those countries are a little bit more cautious on doing business with Israel, like in this current state?
Look, there is always and always will be the political level, but I'm not in politics.
Yeah.
What we do is business. And in our innovation ecosystem, we talk with Gaza, and we talk with people in Egypt.
Yeah.
And we now have, for the past 6 months, we've been creating these roundtable talks over Zoom. But because of it started to be like that because of the COVID, but we keep doing it. We once a month, a roundtable discussion with people from all over the Gulf region. We had people from Syria even, and Arabia, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt and Jordan and Gaza. And we talk about things like how to bridge gaps in tech, in the tech world. Like if we want to make, and we did it around water and climate, which is, for all of us, it's a problem. And we've said, like, let's say that you need to make, you have this great idea, tech idea, but in order for it to happen, you need to have a cable going in the Yam Suf, the Red Sea.
Okay.
Which are all the, Israel and the Arabs, all enemy countries. but everybody needs it, okay? And we need it to be there. Can we make it happen? Can we do it? So we got the UN, the EU, also in these talks, and we got some diplomatic people in these talks with CTOs this time, and we've been discussing how can we do this? How can we do things in collaboration that we will all profit on?
Yeah,
putting politics aside, but we know that it's there. And creating an accelerator in Dubai with someone that creates an accelerator now in Gaza. These are things that we deal with all the time, but we deal with it not in the, just to do it to get Israel or Jewish and Muslim close together. We talk business.
Yeah.
Would it be good for us? Can we make money out of that? Can we make better education in our area for people that can do that and then create startups? So this is something that what connects us is the need for solution for real problems, and not just to do it for the sake of doing it because we're Arab and Jewish and we need to show someone that we're doing it. It's not for show.
Yeah.
If it's for show, then that's not the thing. That's not my game.
Yeah.
That's not my field.
And if, let's say you find those partners that you're looking for in those particular areas, and so I was going to ask, with those Zoom calls, what has been their initial reactions to having dialogue with you?
It was great. We didn't expect it to happen. You have to understand that now the Paris Center for Innovation and Peace is running it, and we have diplomatics from the highest levels coming to the round tables. We got great responses. People really, really want to be there. We are now actually, at first we took whoever wanted to and was willing to talk with us, we took them. And now we are actually cherry picking people. And it's great because you see that you can actually not just dream, you might even have like this real moonshot project coming out of that. Imagine that we connect 3 or 4 states with the support of some kind of the EU with under the Green Deal or the Horizon grants and stuff like that, and really create a high-tech moonshot project in collaboration. It would be amazing. It would be a game changer in all the area. And if that comes out of our talks, it would be amazing.
It's interesting, like hearing you speak, and I think it's a testament to the region and the municipality. Like most people couldn't tell you where the Negev is on a map. If they know where Israel is, but they don't know the Negev, like in the world, right? Most Israelis don't come down here at all, right?
No, yeah, right.
But I've been coming down here for over a decade because of Jewish Colorado and like being on a trip here like in 2010. I met Shmulik, I did the whole thing, and the attitude is so vibrant here right now. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit delusional or something, but everybody I talk to, they understand they're realist, but they're also opportunist, more of the opportunist than the realist.
In a nice kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No macher, but but it's like, I think it's really rewarding to see. I haven't been back in 4 years because of Corona, and I was in an MBA program and all this stuff. But at the same time, you come back and like you see the ideas become reality. Like this high school that we're in, like
it's amazing.
The science center in Yocham, like the conference center that's being built in Mitzpeh. These are things that people were talking about years ago. That I think that when they start to see the plan coming together to build the South, to build the North in the way that they say they were, I really take a pride in being part of it in some small way to show the center of the country. There's things happening here that you don't know about. And this is the reason why I'm creating this spotlight on the Negev to talk about all this stuff in the different perspectives from the political sense, from the, you know, the business sense and things like that. So I'm always inspired by people like yourselves that like are very talented, that could be doing a lot of other things, but they chose to be here because of the lifestyle that it provides their family and the community aspect and everything else. And I think as it continues to grow, like Eran was saying earlier, you know, like 50,000 people in Ramat Negev in the area eventually could be a reality. You know, as long as we continue to build upon the ideas from before, you know, and then have the constant balance of working without disrupting the spirit, the halutz spirit, the pioneer spirit that we have here in some way.
Yeah,
I think it can work. And honestly, we don't have another choice because there's no other place to build in the center in the way that you could here.
Yeah, I think it's only logical that with the population boom, you know, people would go will come to the Negev, would come to the Galil. Naturally, we'll have more people here, and the trick would be not to lose, you know, our way of life, and not to, you know, spoil what we have here and pollute it, and it's not easy also. Like I'm sure that if I would tell Eran, here I'm giving you $1 billion right now, build something, it would not be a city. It would not look like Beersheba, right? And it wouldn't be also maybe very easy to say exactly what are you going to do with this $1 billion shekels or $1 billion. You really, you know, you can get confused. You can say, okay, we'll build this, we'll build that, and we'll take this and we'll take that. But then suddenly you see, okay, but this is not what you want. This is not what we want. We still want our country life. We still want to have our time with our children. We still want to have these open spaces. And we don't want to be boxed in between buildings and stuff like that. So I think we need to tread fast and, you know, with a lot of confidence, but still, you know, with a lot of thought and considering everybody that lives here now.
And what do you think that world Jewry plays a role in that? Do you think eventually there will come a time when Israel at some point was going to say, you know what, we just want the relationship with the outside world, but we don't need the constant funding in the way that it's been happening? Because let's face it, when you go to the city, the middle of the country, it's very hard to, like people that have, for example, been on Taglit or something like that on Birthright, where you tell them, hey, people are suffering, people need this and that, and they're looking around and they see skyscrapers and they see technology companies that are selling for millions of dollars on the NASDAQ or whatever else, right? And you're like, why do you need my money if you've been pretty self-sustaining already, right? Is there going to come a time when Israelis be like, you know what, we appreciate the help that you've given us at some point.
It's enough.
It's enough.
I don't know. I hope we will get to that. It would be pretty great. It would be pretty amazing, you know, not relying on outside money. Everything comes with a cost, even philanthropic money, even if it's a donation, at least in my point of view. You know, you don't get anything for nothing. So I would rather earn my keep and, you know, be proud of what I did. And I really wish us to be sustainable and have enough money. It would be great. I don't know. And Jared and I talk quite a bit actually about stuff, and with the demographics changing and
the population changing, let's be honest, like your way of life is going to be outpopulated by people that have a more conservative approach to life, to have a more spiritual aspect of their identity in the mix of the political side of the landscape here. How do you think Ramat Negev is planning for this in the future, to have to deal with people that don't particularly not respect your way of life, but they don't feel that you're living the right way?
I don't know. This is above my pay grade. This is a tough question. I think right now, the reality is, if you would go around Ramat Negev, the great thing that you will see is the diversity. You have a place like Merchavam, which is more religious, or Etamim, and you'll have kibbutzim, and you have a little bit of everything. And somehow it works, somehow it still keeps this way of life in every way. And I can tell you, I don't know, I think that people that come here, first of all, they look first on the community. So that comes first. And when that comes first, and in your social value ladder, it somehow works out. And when you come here and you don't have this value high on your ladder, and you have something else, you just don't feel connected, and you don't stay here.
Right.
So somehow things in Ramat Negev became the way they become. I don't know if it was a master plan. I know Shmulik a little bit, and he was great. And I know now people from the regional council, the managers that are here for 20, 30 years working, building the places. They are great people, visionaries, but I don't think that anyone could have planned what happened here so well. It just happens, I think, in a moral, in a social way. So I just hope it will keep on going. Can tell you from another way of maybe something else. Let's say I have a hub now, the business hub. It's like a WeWork. It's also a place where businesses can come and sit. And now and then someone who is not a business owner is more, is a hired, he's a worker, and he works in a company that allowed him to work from home.
Yeah.
And he likes to be in the hub. Most of them, after 2, maybe 3 months, left.
Wow.
Did not stay. We have business owners that have their place in the hub for 2-3 years. And people that are not business owners, they're not entrepreneurs, they're not... they left 2-3 months and they left. And we've been asking ourselves, why did they leave? And we ask them, why do you leave? And they just say, we don't feel the vibe. It's not for us. It's like no one told them to go, but they don't feel like it's for them. And I think in some way it balances
everything out, right? Because even though no matter what perspective of Judaism or anything else that you have in your life, like you said, the main value is community. And if you don't adhere to this, and no matter what capacity of Judaism or what kind of observance that you have in your life, you're not going to last very long here. There's no like lonely people in the desert, because you have to rely on each other. It's not the easiest place to live and grow up, just from a climate perspective, an environment perspective. And then what I think happens, and from what I've gathered, is that there's many people that want to live here. And anytime a family decides to leave, there's just 50 families that try to move in some way, right?
There is,
So you're creating an environment of constantly providing some new people, in a sense of people that actually want to live here, and they're really, really wanting the community vibe in that way. And so you're getting people that are very aspirational in being part of something, in a purpose in that way. So you're
Yeah.
purging the people that don't want to be here anymore, and you're keeping the people that actually want to stay.
I think it comes in a natural way. It's not like, I don't know, a closed community, gated Beverly Hills style of keeping people out. It's just when someone comes here, usually it's after that he's been out on the world for quite a while and has tried city life and has tried career like that and has met already his spouse and is now looking for something that's, that's more and that will fill him up. And it's more they're looking more on the way of life, on their education, on their family, on the community, and less focused on now making money, or less focused on now being in a country club. It's it's just different.
Do you feel more connected to the country having moved down here?
No. I was no. I also when I was in the center, I'm an Israeli. I was always an Israeli.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at myself. I've never looked at myself as a Zionist. It's what I do. Part of what I do, and I think we've said it before, is because I like doing it. I can't be something else, I like founding stuff. I like doing stuff. I like being part of something that makes an impact. And when I moved here, then I found it interesting, and I found it fulfilling. And I'm not moved by Zionism. I just
What about Zionism is not for you?
No, it's not just it's not for me. It's just first of all I wanted to I moved to the Kibbutz Revivim, and I saw that this whole thing is missing, the design and the innovation and the high tech and people around that were missing in my life. So I started acting, I think, as part of creating it. And I saw that it brought a lot of value to the kibbutz and to the people. And then when this was going pretty well, I was like looking outside to the rest of the Negev, looking for partners, started working with people in Beersheba, started working in Yerucham, in the Sapir College, which is in the Western Negev. And, it came on me that I can't do only the kibbutz. I can't make a change only in this small bubble. If I really want to make a difference, I need to expand. So I was like, oh yeah, let's do it in all the Negev. But it was not from Zionism. It's from taking care of me, my family, my community, and then growing. Now, when I'm working so much with Iran and people like Jared, who is extremely Zionist, then I think something is ticking. But
he's people that I know, they consider Jared to be the poster child of Zionism, of Aliyah and of Zionism.
This is not the thing that makes me tick. It's not.
He is so Zionist. He will speak to other people from North America in Hebrew if they know Hebrew. That's how Zionist he is. Yes, I know. That's what I mean.
I think that's great, and I respect that, and I love I love that the Zionism value gets into all these things that I'm doing, because it's another thing that it's important for me, and it makes me happy that I'm doing something that has another great value. But if it would not be Zionistic, would I do it? Yeah. It's not.
No, I get it. I think you can have both. In a sense, when you have talent and you have a particular skill of you said you were an artist before, so obviously the creativity side is a big part of your life, and having an idea and then like building that out and like making that work, regardless of how stupid some people might think it is, I think is always the fun part.
I can tell you that Itzik Tzur, that I mentioned before, he became a great friend. He is the manager in the R&D center, the agricultural R&D center, and he says to people, the fact that I live here, and in the morning, 7 a.m, one of my kids gets out and pee on a tree outside here that makes this pea grows. I made my Zionism due for this day. I live here, I'm Zionist. My kids pee on things here and make them grow. It's another Zionistic act.
Yeah.
And now we need to make money.
See, that's where the Zionism gets away, and it's like more of I would consider a universalist approach, right? Like the middle of the country, I think, is a pressure valve release for the rest of everything that goes on. So you work hard, you play hard, and you have a lot of ideals that I think, in a sense, are more in the way of the U.S. in that way, But like here, you're combining a little bit of both, and so if you can do that and you feel good about it, then amazing,
Yeah, I think so too. I think you need to balance those things, and at least for me, it's important to have, to have both. I really like dealing in all this investment and financial games, thinking about that. I like working, day and night, and on the weekends, if it's about me founding stuff, like feeling that I'm creating, it doesn't feel like work. And on that point of view, it's great, it's fun.
Here's a question on a personal side, like how important is your stability at home with your wife and your kids make you a better, more successful entrepreneur or business person?
That's very important. It's very important. First of all, it really it sounds like a cliche when a lot of people say behind the man there's this we wouldn't be the man he was without the woman behind him.
Yeah.
And I here in this work and in what we do here, I really felt that, the support of my wife was so important, and this whole kibbutz infrastructure, taking care of the kids, and really but you feel that they're secure. You feel that they're like wrapped in how do you call
bubble
those
wrap.
Bubble wrap things, and it's so important. Sometimes in our line of work, you worry so much, and this is even more worrying, and you really need your support, the support from your spouse. I don't say just from my wife, because we actually do have a lot of women entrepreneurs, and we see how much the support from your partner is important, so important. Even sometimes to just pull you out and give you like this wake-up call that just stop, we're going on a field trip.
Yeah.
Even that sometimes so important, really.
Like it's thing about like you're swimming and then somebody says you have to get up to breathe.
Exactly. Because an entrepreneur, and I know it about myself, we can lose ourselves.
For sure.
We're into we don't see anything. Now we have this goal, and we'll do anything to make it happen. And I can tell you, sometimes once suddenly there was a meeting that had to be done in Tel Aviv in 8:00 at night. I had to go out from the Negev. It's like 2.5 hours drive and back. And I didn't even think, it needs to be done. Taking the kids and I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly your wife tells you, hello. You're not, you don't have to do all those, slow down a little bit.
Yeah. What advice would you give entrepreneurs in knowing about finding that partner and that balance that can deal with an entrepreneur, for one?
Very important.
And then what kind of characteristics would you think would look for? So like, for example, for me, I need somebody that's ultra independent, that can live in the life. Obviously, it's nice for me to be around or anything, but like you said, you get into a project or something like that, or you travel for work or anything else, and you're gone for a week or two, and this thing's gotta like run smooth in that way as well, right? And so maybe give your top 3 characteristics in what you think a great partner for an entrepreneur would be.
Wow, that's tough. It's for every entrepreneur is different, and then you would need a different partner. That's a tough question, but you need someone to complete you, and you need like a devil's advocate. This is what you need.
That's a good one.
And it's so important because you just, as an entrepreneur, you just do stuff. You don't stop. And you see pink. In Hebrew it says, how do you say it in English?
Honky door.
Everything is great. Yeah, you like walking in Hebrew. You say you're walking around with pink glasses.
Yeah.
The world looks great. Every idea is the best, and it's not.
How much of your time with your wife do you spend talking about your work, about the people you're meeting, about all that stuff?
I do. I even schedule. I schedule time being with my wife. It's that important. Yeah. It is. And I know most of the things that I tell her do not interest her at all.
That's pretty much like everybody, right?
No, but you can see from the way she looks. Like if I'm telling her something, she's like, "Wow, this is great." Or when she's like, "You lost me here. It doesn't sound good to me." Like the women intuition, gets roused there, and she makes me notice the red flashing light sometimes that I don't see. So it helps. And also in business, here Itzik became a good partner, and it's not because we have to. We like chose each other. We don't. It's. I'm in the regional council. He's in the R&D center. We started working together, and we became partners. Because really, in everything I do, I need a partner. I think it's the one. One of the first advice that I give entrepreneurs that come, I tell them, they ask me all kinds of questions. What do I do now? What do I do this? Do that? And I'm like, do you have a partner? If no, work on getting a partner. Like, what do I do? Start to work. Use it like
personal or professional?
Treat it in a professional way. Use it, treat it as a part of your job now, to find a partner for the business, to find someone to work with you on your venture before you start doing all kinds of stuff. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself.
And where do you think is the best place in Israel to find your partner? From school, from the army, from what?
Look everywhere. Like money, look everywhere.
Online? Is it, I know they have like business like apps, like where you find partners for certain jobs in a new company, maybe something like that. But
it doesn't work so well here in Israel. No, but that's because of the numbers. It's really hard to find partners, but it's possible. Usually, if you're in the fields of, I don't know, like autonomous cars, So there are so many meetups and accelerators and all kinds of conventions in these fields.
Yeah.
Just go there, give business cards, talk to people. You will find that the same idea that you have right now, 10 others are working on,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yep.
So one is an engineer and he needs a CEO. One is more like a CEO and he needs an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
If you put yourself out there, you'll start connecting. Sitting at home and thinking about it will not help. You just need to go out there and do stuff. And in Israel, there are so many meetups, so many conventions, so many accelerators. 280 VCs only in Israel. Over 400 accelerators in Israel. It's a huge amount.
Yeah. Do you think when they start building teams together, like in these, these, what do you call them? The accelerators, and then these, the incubators and things like that. Do you think teams are better off being picked and put together, or the ones you pick yourself? Like, what's a better version of success?
You can never know. You can never know. Did you know that the best way in your life to make a decision is by flipping a coin? Statistically, in every decision that you make, if you flip a coin, it would be like over a time span of your lifetime.
Yeah.
You will find that the coin was right. So to move to the Negev or not move to the Negev, we could have flipped the coin and go with that, and it would have been okay. You can never know. You can never know.
Honestly, I never do business with people that tell me to go with your gut. I don't want to do anything with them because
no, it's not a gut thing.
No.
It's you might think that putting people together won't work, but sometimes it does.
Yeah.
I've been to all kinds of hackathons.
Yeah.
That created these things artificially, and they went, really bad. And in a few hackathons, a few teams connected, and it was great. Even when I was a mentor in one of those hackathons, one of those teams that we really connected, suddenly we had this great vibe, and I continued being their mentor for another 6 months, and they had a great product.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was great. They continued. They raised money. You can never know.
Yeah.
It can be someone from your army. It can be someone from Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Not Facebook.
Not Facebook anymore. That's true.
No,
LinkedIn more.
I know some people that work at Facebook in Tel Aviv, so I have to give them a little bit of shit.
You can never know. It can be your next door neighbor.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about life. I think is, like you said, like life is a pivot. Like you constantly are changing your perspective. Even having a conversation like we do gives me a different nuance on the vision, like how you see this area, how you see your country and everything else. And it provides a little bit more of a data point for me in a sense of like, not everybody's the same in this area, and I think it's just...
Everybody's different.
Well, you try to pigeonhole people, put them in this certain like... Oh, everybody's like this solopreneur, they like community, they don't want to deal with anything, they don't want to deal with the government, that's why they're down here. And it's just simply not true.
Right. We do have more of those solo entrepreneurs because it's the desert, it's the Negev, and it's people come here when they want that. It's much easier to be that here than in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And in the city you live differently, and you have more temptations and opportunities. You can work in big companies. Here you don't.
Yeah.
You come here to do that. So it becomes most of the population, but you get all kinds.
Speaking of that, about the all kinds, how, if obviously you probably have to deal with this as well. Like, how do you create opportunity for everybody in the Negev? And what I mean is, like, obviously there's the Jewish population here, but you have just as many Bedouin that live in Ramat Negev as well. Like, what's the plan in your particular section within the regional council to help them start becoming part of the country and integrated more without disrespecting their culture and how they do things in that way? Has there been talks between the groups? And
yeah, I think each one can contribute in what he knows and understands, and I work with groups. There's a Bedouin accelerator. There's a high tech עמותה,
nonprofit,
a non-profit called Muna, for high tech Bedouins. So my contribution, is going over there, mentoring. There's also a big project called Unistream, where we go into all kinds of schools in the periphery. Some of them are Bedouins, and we teach entrepreneurism. So I do this voluntarily for at least 6 years now.
Wow.
We're starting to do all kinds of programs that try to bring Bedouins also in, but it's hard. It's very difficult. Their starting point is very different from ours. So we're not in the mix and match area yet.
Yeah.
It's still working with them, first of all, trying to bridge the gap. And then after that, we will get to the mix and match part.
Yeah.
I think we're still, sadly, and we're still very far away from that, like 10, 15 years from that. But I really love what Iran is doing now with taking control and taking ownership of the situation and really not putting it aside and, saying we're living together, we should be a part of the solution, not just looking from the sidelines on the problem. I love this. And whatever be needed to contribute to that, I'm all in. Right now, I can say it's not easy.
Right.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, and just for people that don't really understand what we're talking about, so within the area of Sinai and the Negev in Israel, they have these nomadic tribes that are been roaming around this area for centuries, and they migrate back and forth between the environmental impact areas here that are now basically training area for the IDF and for the Israeli Defense Forces. And so with that, the government has had to deal with a lot of issues with the Bedouins, and they've set up about 13 different areas for them to kind of stay put, so they don't, for safety reasons, so they don't get hurt with all the training that's involved around here. But secondly, to kind of slowly keep them in a place where a lot of crime and a lot of illegal trafficking were happening before in the region, and still consist of problems today. And obviously not everybody that's a Bedouin is a smuggler or anything else.
No.
But we have, issues between the borders where, drugs, prostitution, you name it, things are coming through this particular area of Israel that they have to address on a national level. And we were fortunate enough to hike Mount Karkum, which is in an area in the desert, and you saw the big fence that goes along the Egyptian border there. And so there's a lot of cooperation between the Egyptian government, Sinai, and Ramat Negev Regional Council in regards to the safety and security of the area. And a lot of that has to do with, Bedouin involvement and everything else, and it's a process. And but I think the right people are in the right place to succeed and make it a more manageable situation than what it is today. With that, we how are you on time? Are you good, or you need to?
I'm just checking that the wife got to the kids and everything. And you see,
your boss,
the boss. She is not the boss of me. No,
you say that right now. We can ask her.
It's like the dishwasher is waiting for you. Well, about the Bedouins, I think it has to. It's not just in high tech and stuff like that. It's the cultural, the way they see things and the way we see things, the way they walk, the way we see walk. It's so different. Everything is so different. So even trying integrating them as workers in a few businesses is tough. It's not so easy. There are barriers, but it's not because they're criminals or anything like that. It's just
cultural
it's
differences.
Mostly cultural. It's mostly cultural and educational.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that we are not fighting and we pretty much succeed to live side by side together, that's already a nice accomplishment. And now we're taking to the next level, that integrating them and creating the infrastructure better for their lives, and for us getting to know them is also very important. And they don't initiate it right now, so we need to initiate it. But we also we start doing that without being too much evasive.
Yeah,
it's tough.
No, and just to make another note here, so for those that don't know what happened in Israel in May timeframe, there was stuff going on back and forth between Gaza and Israel. And basically there were riots in a lot of the Arab populated areas of Israel. And one thing to note about Ramat Negev is the Bedouin communities within Ramat Negev did not riot. And I think it's a testament to the people reaching out and ensuring to let them know that they're a part of the community and that you're living together. And it's kol hakavod to Iran and the staff for making that happen and ensuring the safety of the citizens, to include the Bedouin, who are full Israeli citizens as well.
Yeah, there are always these groups of people that are extremists, and you have to really be really tough not to escalate it. Mm-hmm. And I think Iran and the Regional Council here are doing a great job in doing that, and also us as a community. I think we're strong enough and we're confident enough in ourselves as a community, so we do not escalate things, and we rather help each other. It's a long way to go. Sure. I'm not trying to paint too pretty a picture here. It's not always good, but it's okay.
Yeah. For the rest of the space in the, not only in Israel but like the world, I think people obviously don't know much about the Negev. If you had some last words in a sense of give people a reason to come and visit the Negev, specifically when they come to Israel at some point, either Jewish, non-Jewish, and what they can expect. And then I'll add myself on like what I have here as well.
First of all, people need to experience desert. and it's an experience. You know, watching the night sky, the stars here in the Negev, it's amazing. It's on the verge of hypnotic or drug addict. How do you call it? It's like psychedelic with condone drugs. No, but you know, you're looking at the night sky and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Or sitting on a hill looking at the desert view, or even walking for 4 hours in desert. It's an experience. Everybody has to experience it.
Yeah.
And Israel, the Negev Israeli desert is the friendliest desert in the world. You cannot do that in the Sahara Desert. I would not recommend doing that even in Sinai. I would not recommend doing that in the Mojave Desert. Here in the Negev, wherever someone drops you, if you'll walk, you know, an hour here, an hour there, you will get to some kind of a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
It's safe. It's safe and it's fun, and you have all kinds of attractions, and it's the best place in the world to experience desert and feel safe. So first of all, you should do that, even just for your enjoyment. Other than that, apart from that, I would recommend everybody to come and spend some time in our community, in either one of our communities. Each one is different and exciting. I can tell you that I'm from Kibbutz Revivim. When I first came there, it was like, wow, a whole new world suddenly appeared to me. I never sat with people and talked the way we did over there. I felt that I was coming from abroad. Mm-hmm. And I feel the same sometimes when I go to Merchavam, which is more a religious community. Mm-hmm. And I even spent a night there in the Khan, and people came with guitars and we sang. It was really unexpected, and I stayed there for another 3 days. It's, you know, each community here, the people here and the way of life is something that I can assure you that it would be the first time that they've experienced anything like it. So I invite them to come. And if after that they would also like to, you know, make business here or, you know, move here or whatever, I can tell them that it's easy. And the regional council makes it easy by providing a really, really nice, blanket of services, I would say, that makes it really easy to move here. Mm-hmm. And we really want to have everybody here succeed. So we do everything to make it happen. And I don't think it happens anywhere else. You know, maybe it does, but I don't know too many places in the world that want you so bad to succeed and work so hard for every person here to succeed as much as we do. I think it differentiates us.
For sure. A lot of people, they question why I come down here. Yeah. They're just like, why are you going to the Negev so much? You know, I've been here 6 weeks plus, and I've been in the Negev over a week now, and people are they're baffled. And they're Israeli the same way, you know, probably you were when you first came down here. You're like,
yeah, I think.
And so for me, some of my better friendships in Israel are here. And it's not because like I can't make friends in the city or whatever, but what's important here is different, and the depth of the relationship is better with the people here in a more community-based sense, in a spiritual sense, in a connection with the land and the people that I understand very, very much. And that's what I'm really appreciative for, because it gives me the balance, like I think that you're talking about. Like when I leave Israel, generally it takes me maybe a good week or so to like really process like all the like craziness that goes on here, good and bad.
I'm sure.
And then I go back and I usually write about it in some way on like every time is different, you know, like how when I come here and when I think about, not in a political sense, not on a national sense or anything else, but on a, you know, I've been reading a lot about Ahadam and how his idea of the spiritual center of Judaism, but also anybody from the Book of Abraham, like how it's special here in some way, because so much started here in many ways, and it connects us in a very, very different way, and why it's so important on all facets of monotheism in the world in this way. And so I go back with that knowledge, and I make sure that I am somewhat of an ambassador for the place in a good way, in a positive way, to show off the talents and the challenges and everything that it encompasses, and the spirit of the community, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Where I want people to understand that, like, I believe in the American system, right? Like, I understand to put the power on the individual is the most rewarding thing, because the fruits of your labor in any facet of life is going to be that much more rewarding when you accomplish something, right? But at the same time, you could be a lone wolf. You can create something and do whatever, but like if you have nobody to share your success with, to share your hardship with, then it doesn't really mean as much, in my opinion. That's why, like, when we hear speeches all the time at celebrations or at ceremonies or whatever else, what do we talk about? We talk about the people that helped us get to that point, whether it's our family, whether it's our partner, whether it's our kids, whatever inspires us along the way, it's generally the people. And that's what I bring back when I go to the US or I go to Europe or whatever else, you know, because they have a very distorted view based on many things, I think, on the news and the cycles and this and that, and they think like everybody's like a hardcore Zionist, and we're proving it right here today that like that just doesn't happen. You don't get to choose where you're born. You don't get to choose your parents, right? But you get to choose the ideas that you follow and what means something to you. And that's what I like to bring about this whole part of the podcasting and everything else, to provide that diversity, to give people a more nuanced approach on like how they talk about Israel, but how they talk about Judaism and other things as well. So thanks so much for taking the time to do it. Hopefully you had something good from it, and you can talk to other people about it and show off. I hope to have the YouTube videos up and everything else where you can be like, hey, listen to me talk about what we're doing in the Negev, and you can talk with investors or donors or whatever else that comes up here in the future. But at least they understand the mindset down here, and I think that's the most important.
I hope so. I hope that with each talk like that, things resonate, and for sure, it was great meeting you and listening to you, and you shared your opinion and your point of view, and makes me also think a lot, and get to hear someone from abroad, how he sees things here. Yeah. It really also puts me in perspective. So I thank you for that. It was really fun. I had fun.
Good deal.
And I don't know. I hope to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. No, I'll be back. That's for sure. And it's a good thing that you're helping Jared, with his Hebrew and his mistakes, and so
we actually we do not we do not help with that because it makes us laugh, and if it gets better, then what would be
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
It's fun mistakes. We call it fun and happy mistakes, and we love
it. Love it. All right, man. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The show is produced by myself, Ben, out of Denver, Colorado. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you consume the content. Audio versions are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and a ton of others. As far as the full shows go and clips of the show, YouTube is the best place to view it. Instagram would be another one to see the clips. Big shout out to Mike Xavier, a hip-hop artist based out of Vegas and LA, who allow us to use his music for the show. He also produces a show called Hip Hop and Poetry, owns Renowned Photos, and check his music out and anything else that he's got going on in Vegas or online and social media as well. One last thing, if you know someone interesting that you think would bring value to the audience in some way, by all means, email me or get in touch via social media, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on like who would be one of those type of people. Thanks so much, and look forward to continuing to produce for you guys.